Hello, yeah, we gotta talk, because things are going just crazy. You know, I keep thinking of that every time the song plays in my head, Land of Confusion by Genesis, because it just seems like it's a land of confusion and there's not a whole lot of love to go around, and that's exactly what it seems like is going on in the world today, at least here in the United States. Um, these protests, well, there are protests and then there are riots. So there's a difference between the two. You have people out there protesting because they're tired of the racism going on. And I've talked about it on this channel. You see the racism that goes on. You saw how George Floyd was killed by those police officers and how it took, so long for the and only one officer, only the officer who pinned him on his knee was arrested. The other guy should have been arrested too. If it was a bunch of citizens doing that to somebody, they would be arrested. But it seems like the police, and this is all part of this whole mentality that these people in the government have. I think they're above the law. And we all know, we saw what happened with Eric Gardner too. He said, "I can't breathe." And the officer choked him to death, and he didn't care. He murdered the guy. We're seeing, and those are the times you see it on camera. There are plenty of times you don't see it on camera. And yes, there's a lot of racism in the police departments across this country. Tremendous amount of racism, just like there is in so many levels of government against people of color. We see it right here on Long Island, the things I've spoken about, where these lily white areas in the South Shore get these beautiful train stations with artwork, and the middle of the island doesn't get any of that. And the North Shore doesn't get any of that either. Yes, the North Shore as well. North Shore has a lot of money. They have just as actually the median income in a lot of these North Shore towns is higher than on the South Shore. Though the South Shore is really catching up and trying to surpass that because Wall Street's been booming. But you go to stations like Great Neck, they don't have any of that. Great Neck is a very wealthy area. Port Washington is a very wealthy area, but it's not lily white. And because it's a diverse area, it doesn't matter that the people there make a lot of money. It's because their skin is not white, so they don't get the same treatment that those white people get on the South Shore. It's the same kind of thing, whether it be Asians, Hispanics, Indians, blacks, and other minorities out there that just get discriminated against. And it's ridiculous, especially in a state like New York, which is, whites are barely a majority in the state anymore. And yet they yield so much control. You look at the MTA board, you look at our government, and it's like almost all white. And this doesn't reflect the population at all, one bit. So people are fed up. And it's not just, it's about all this stuff. It's not just about George Floyd. It's not just about Eric Gardner. It's about the systematic racism that is endemic in the government in this country. And I'm glad people are speaking up. I'm glad people are protesting. But what scares me are the riots. The riots scare me a great deal. There's no reason to do that. What they did in Minneapolis, now it's spreading to other cities. There's been a little bit of it in New York City. And there's been cities. I have not seen any of it here on Long Island yet. I'm scared it's going to happen. When people start getting violent, that's what scares me. And it takes away from the message. It really does. And I don't think the protesters are behind this. There's an extremist group that's behind this. Antifa is part of it. There are a lot of extremist group out there that are taking advantage of the situation. They're not even from the neighborhoods. A lot of them are coming from outside of these neighborhoods and then destroying them. And then this just makes life even harder for minorities and harder for poor people because now you just wound up destroying their town. It makes no sense. The violence has got to stop. But all this chaos is happening because of several factors. And I think I would be willing to bet that if this shutdown wasn't taking place, we wouldn't be seeing these protests. We'd be seeing them. Well, we'd be seeing protests, but we wouldn't be seeing the violence. We wouldn't be seeing the size of what's happening. It's because people are out of work, kids are out of school, and the shutdown goes on, and people are tired of it. We've got it. When people have nothing to do, they're going to get into trouble, and that's what we're seeing. We've been seeing the crimes tick up over the past couple of weeks. Now it's going to start exploding, which is why I think that if I was Governor Cuomo right now, I'd say we got to reopen immediately, reopen everything, because it's that dangerous of a situation. We're better off reopening everything right now, not wasting any more time, and having people back occupied again. Because when you have all these people out of work, it's only going to stir the pot even more. And unfortunately, I mean, the governors that say, "Oh, we're going to go to phase 2." Phase 2 is not enough. No, everything needs to reopen, except for a few things. Everything. The only things that shouldn't reopen right now are movie theaters, theaters in general. That's it. Everything else needs to reopen, and that includes schools. Just have the students wear a mask, or social distance. And if there isn't enough room in one school district for everybody to properly be spaced out, then we need to figure out how we're going to manage that by maybe sharing resources among school districts. But we need to take, things are getting out of control right now, and the shutdown is just making it that much worse. And most of the people clamoring for the shutdown are white. And again, most of the people that have been impacted most heavily by the shutdown are lower incomes, the working class, the middle class, and minorities. The people that have been impacted the least, the white-collar folks, most of them are white, so of course, they're going to keep saying, "Oh, nothing's wrong. They're in their enclaves. Nothing's happening to them." But there are a lot of people out of work right now, and a lot of people of color out of work, and it's only going to make the situation worse. Which is why the shutdown's got to end. It's got to end now. And some cities are passing curfews and I don't blame them, because it seems like the trouble starts at night. Thank God I have not seen any. If I hadn't put on the news, I wouldn't know this is going on. Well, there are a couple of signs here and there, but generally I wouldn't know what's happening in these other parts of the country right now. There's no excuse for the violence. No excuse. I don't care who you are. People, those communities in Minneapolis and other cities that have been looted and burned are going to take years to recover, if they recover at all. And the people that are stuck living there are going to have to find a new place to live, because it's not going to be safe there anymore. There's not going to be jobs for them. There's not going to be stores for them. There's not going to be facilities for them. So by doing that, it doesn't help your cause. It doesn't help your cause. You got to you don't take your anger out on the stores. And don't even take your anger on, look, there are bad police officers out there. There's systematic racism in police departments across this country. But it doesn't mean that every officer is corrupt. I still believe most police officers are good people. They're not racist, but there's a segment that is racist. And because of the technology we have, because of the technology we have, and the fact that a lot of people have cameras now, it's getting exposed. It's getting exposed that this racism is going on, and it's been going on for years. It hasn't gotten any better. It hasn't improved. It's just as bad as it's ever been. And we have to do something about it. So people should protest. They should take to the streets, but do it peacefully. And this shutdown has got to end. It's got to end, because the longer this is going on, the more restless people are getting, and it's leading to more violence. And this is exactly why the shutdown, by most, not everywhere, but in a lot of these places, with Minneapolis, Minnesota, I believe, was still shut down. They were just coming out of it. New York was still shut down in a lot of ways. We've got to get these stores open, because when the stores are closed, it's going to be easier for them to be looted. And there's not going to be people out on the streets doing business. And it's just going to make it easier for the troublemakers to get away with what they're getting away with. So Governor Cuomo, if I was you right now, I would reopen this state tomorrow. Tomorrow, I would do it. All right? I would make a very important announcement. Whenever you do your press conference, say, we are going to phase 3. We're reopening everything except for the theaters. Because it's going to get a lot worse if we don't reopen now. All right? The violence that this is causing is going to be worse than the virus. I'm not saying we should be irresponsible here. We still need the distancing. We still need to be wearing masks when we can't be more than 6 feet away from each other. But we got to reopen things. These many people out of work. These many people with nothing to do. They're fed up. They're fed up of being locked down. And I think that's part of the reason why we're seeing these protests. and that and the racism. But I think that it's a combination of factors, and this lockdown that has to end right now. That's the way I feel about it. That's what I would do if I was Governor Cuomo. I would end it right now. But of course he won't do that. We know that. They like the power. They like the power. And I'm worried it's only going to get worse, and I'm scared that we're going to see repeats of the 70s in the city again. We can't have that. We can't have that. We gotta stop. We gotta, violence doesn't solve anything. It doesn't solve anything, and we don't want any violence. But people should protest. They should protest this racism. They should protest. But it's not, like I said, it's not just about the police murdering people of color. It's about the systematic racism in so many levels of our government. And we see this. And then there are people that defend this, saying, well, those areas on the South Shore pay higher taxes. Well, taxes are pretty high in Great Neck, too, and they don't have a beautiful station. Why is that? Why is that? I wonder why taxes aren't that low in Hicksville either. Nobody, we know why. We know why it is that they get all the good stuff on the South Shore, and their roads are paved while our roads are full of potholes. And Hillside Avenue is full of potholes, and that area around Herrick's a very wealthy, educated area there. But because it's diverse, doesn't get the same treatment as the Lily White areas. It's systematic racism. This is something I've talked about for a long time, and it has to end. People are fed up with it, and people need to think about that. But please, don't. If you're committing acts of violence, then you need to be off the streets. And if there are people out there that are actually organizing these acts of violence, then they are. I agree with the president when he labeled Antifa a terrorist organization, because they are. That's what these people are. They're terrorists. They're terrorizing innocent people, and terrorizing the people that, by and large, the people they're terrorizing are the people who have been victims of discrimination. And many of these people, they're inciting violence, and it's got to stop. So we're in a really scary time. This year's been a horrible year for all of us here in this country. So many bad things have happened, and the year isn't even done yet. We're only halfway there. We got 6 more months of 2020 to go. I shudder to think what else could happen. Which is why we got to get on with our lives. We got to get this economy going again. It's more important than ever. And this shutdown's got to end. And I'm calling on mass defiance. I think we need massive civil disobedience on all the business owners. Get your employees back to work. The schools open up anyway. The restaurants open up anyway. We got to just do it. If we all do it, there's no way they can stop us. Let's get on with our lives. Because the longer people stay in and the longer people stay home, the worse it's going to get. It's time to stop staying home, get out there, and get on with our lives once and for all. Take care, everybody.